Qatar. It's a country that most Americans cannot even find on a map. Honestly, can't even pronounce. They don't know anything about it demographically, economically. Maybe knew it was a sand dune until the 90s when ExxonMobil set up shop there. But now it's the country that we cannot stop hearing about on a daily basis. A country that seems to funnel billions of dollars into our education in addition to the private Muslim institutions in America, education, mosques. They spend more per capita on lobbying than any other country. They seem to have more influence than China. Now we've signed an Article 5 NATO style agreement to defend them, but from what? And wherever you turn, they fund the Muslim Brotherhood aligned NGOs. They fund the kinetic terrorist groups throughout Asia and Africa, and obviously host many of those groups, including Hamas. And they fund the largest news station, Al Jazeera. In some measures, the largest news station, even in America. They have more Capitol Hill credentialed correspondents than the New York Times. And they use their gas and oil wealth to buy up American property and critical infrastructure, all the while playing the other side, both funding the kinetic terrorists, but also subverting American politicians and radicalizing through their education, through their media sources, the Muslims in America, in Western civilization. How did we get here? And how is it that in a matter of a year, not only do they control left-wing Western leaders like this Albanese guy you see in Australia, who obviously is in with that entire Muslim Brotherhood agenda, but now people on the right, people even in the Trump administration, you've seen just in the last couple of weeks, the DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem, the FBI Director. You've seen Marco Rubio put out a statement celebrating Qatari Day and their strategic alliance and praising their military, which is just kind of odd because their military was never really much of an issue. Why is Qatar obsessed with us? Why are they subverting us? And why are our elites obsessed with them? So, it's interesting as we're watching one political hack, TikToker after another, take their pilgrimage to Qatar and promote the al-Thani regime while he's sitting there with his Hamas friends. You actually have people of Qatari descent that are actually trying to fight this subversion there and abroad. It doesn't cost anything in America to speak the truth, at least not yet. But for our next guest, it really did. Sheikh Khalid Al-Hail. He is the leader of Qatar's National Democrat Party, but he's not in Qatar because you can't have an opposition party there. So he is in exile in Europe, and he's with us today to share his story and his message. Sheikh, thanks so much for joining us here today at Blaze Media.
It's my pleasure to be here, my friend.
Wow. So this is obviously very new for me. And honestly, this subject is so new for so many people. Most people in America don't know anything about Qatar. If I am al-Thani, I'm trying to view it from the Qatari perspective and then from the American perspective. From the Qatari perspective, he's wealthy. His regime is wealthy. There's only a few 100,000 permanent citizens. Why can't they just enjoy their life on the Persian Gulf? Why are they so obsessed with America?
First, thank you very much again. So let me just make a small explanation about the state of Qatar. State of Qatar is an absolute monarchy system run by one man. So basically, every single idea or every single approach that the government of Qatar it does it because of one man decision. If Qatar was a constitutional monarchy system, you will hear the majority, like my voice, people like me, who hate actually radical Islamists, who hate the ideology that the ideology that the Qatari government promoting, like the Muslim Brotherhood ideology that established the regime of Iran and all other terrorist organizations like Hamas, like Al-Nusra Front, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Let me just give a small explanation to the American people who is Qatar and what is Qatar and why they are obsessed with the Americans. So the majority of people in the United States of America, they basically feel pain when you talk about the September attack, the terrorist attack by Al Qaeda. What 99% of Americans don't know that Qatar actually hosted the mastermind of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. When the Americans was trying to find him, the Minister of Interior of Qatar hided the guy in his own farm. It's not my talk. It's not my claim. It's there in your documentations. You have to dig deeper than this. When a person like Tucker Carlson, for example, and other people who comes to Qatar and pretending or showing case how beautiful is this country, did they ever mention to the Americans that basically this state terrorized the Americans by hosting and sponsoring those terrorists who slaughtered more than 3,000 Americans? Not only that, Tucker Carlson was driving in the seas of Qatar, talking how much is Qatar beautiful, while Osama bin Laden's son, Umar, you Google Osama bin Laden's son, Umar, on the internet, you will find him in Qatar, next door to Tucker Carlson and the group they brought from America. Shame on them, shame on every single person that pretend or claim it's America first, and he go to such a radical regime in Qatar and promote it, because that is against the values and principles that every single American believes in. That's number one. Number two, you drive by the same area Tucker Carlson drove from the airport to wherever he go, to the Qatari Forum, Doha Forum. He passed by the Taliban embassy, one of the main enemies of United States of America, despite the houses of Hamas leaders who pray every day for America to vanish. God make America vanish. God make the Jewish vanish. God make Christians vanish. And that's their messaging that they've promoted for many, many, many years. A lot of people who in America as well, who have some less understanding about this radical regime and the boy king of Qatar, don't understand that they are actually provoking the nation in America. They promoting and they're financing NGOs that goes to your own church. They buy your own church and they converted it to a mosque to provoke you. They want to take over your country. Their ideology is not to be friend with you. Their ideology is to come to take over. You don't know people, you don't know Muslims more than us. I am a Muslim, but we know the difference between Islamists and Islam. We know the difference between the radical Islamist and Islam. We know the danger of the Muslim Brotherhood. You don't. They come to you, they said, if you speak about Muslim Brotherhood, you speak about Islam. It's wrong. Because the difference here, what we believe, that the religion is a faith, is a personal choice, is a faith for every single person. What Qatar want to use the religion to influence institutions in the United States of America and the West. So basically, they use the people emotion to get into them and to control them and to own them. I mean, it will be a very big shame on any American that will wake up one day will say, "Oh, how Qatar is great." Fine, explain to people what happened to all those who died for the love of America by the Qataris' money. That's what you need to explain. I mean, we're not here, we're not talking or not debating about if they're sponsoring terrorism or not. They are. And it's not a claim anymore. It's factual information. And it can't be every single person in the world wrong and they are right, because they had a lot of um, crisis in the Middle East with their own neighbors because of the same topic: financing, supporting the Muslim Brotherhood. Iran, who's Iran? The Khomeini regime, who is a terrorist regime who hates America and promoting and influencing all this, like Hezbollah, Houthis, since they born until they die, to hate America and Israel. And that is one of the things that is actually is not aligning with the majority of our people in Qatar. Where is our voice? We cannot say anything. We are forced to accept Hamas in our country because of the boycotting of Qatar. We are forced to accept Al Qaeda in Qatar. We are forced to accept Taliban in Qatar. We are forced to accept Hamas and all this radical Islamist ideologists in Qatar. Why? Because that's what they want. It's a one-man show.
So what's very interesting about what you're saying, and I've been pointing this out for a while, this is not just about foreign policy. This is not just about what Qatar does to fund terrorism throughout Asia and Africa, but it's what's happening right here in America. Many of Tucker's supporters and his followers will complain about the Islamification of Europe and what you're seeing in Europe. But what you're saying is that it's the Qatari regime that is funding the subversion in America, and to the extent, because Tucker said just last night, you can't shame all Muslims and you can't paint them all with one brush. But the irony is, to the extent that you could have Muslim communities in America that share your worldview, he's preventing that by supporting Qatar, right?
Yes, let me explain to you something, and what's Tucker trying to say, and what is his audience trying to understand. Let me explain it. First of all, the the way Tucker explaining the situation, you cannot shame all Muslims. We're not talking about people who accept, basically, for example, that the ruler of the United States of America is Trump, and we have to respect Trump. If the ruler of the United States X person, you have to accept him and you have to obey the law of the land. We have a problem here because what Qatar is promoting is a Muslim Brotherhood ideology. What's that ideology? It's basically saying to you that you don't have to obey the rules. You don't have to obey the law of the land. You have to obey the murshid, the spiritual leader. So whatever he says to you that's contradict with the principle of being an American, you accepted the citizenship of America, so you have to accept the rules of America. Here we're talking about those people who don't care, and sorry, who don't give a fuck about that. All what they want is just care about what the spiritual leader is saying. And here it comes the problem, because in our countries, they're destabilizing a lot of the regimes in the Middle East because of the same messaging. So what's wrong for American people? Sorry, what's
Sure.
wrong for the American people to actually know that whatever happening in the Middle East, and the Muslims themselves, they are trying to protect themselves from such ideologies. What's wrong for us to be well educated about that? Tucker Carlson says something very interesting. Do you hear me?
Sure, sure. No, keep going, keep going.
All right. So I can't hear you though.
Sure. Why? No, keep going.
Okay. So Tucker Carlson said something very, very interesting yesterday. So he talked about he being pointed at as actually a secret jihadi. So do you know what's jihad meaning, Mr. Tucker? You don't know. Jihad is not about carrying a gun and actually fight. Jihad is a way, jihad of pen. You could carry a pen and make a jihad by writing something, or even talking and promoting their ideologies, the jihadist ideologies, such as the Qatari regime. So basically, if you say, am I a secret jihadi? You are, yes, because you are promoting a radical regime that basically promoting those ideologies. No, I'm not creating the story. Just hold on, relax, open Al Jazeera channel, see the way they are explaining how Hamas acting in Gaza, for example, or how they describing 7th of October, or how describing all that crimes for you to understand what is they are explaining every day. So they want you to believe that okay, it's okay for them to go to terrorize people in 7th October, and it's okay to for Israel to accept that and not to defend themselves. At the same time, whatever is happening as a reaction is actually a crime, and that's what they're doing. So the first criminal here is actually who carried the first gun and went there and killed the civilians. You had peace. You said you wanted peace in 2005. Hamas said they want to rule Gaza peacefully. Israel gave it to them.
They
They
gave it
said,
to them.
okay,
Yep.
here we go. Come on, take over your country and let's see what you're going to do. What happened after that? Qatar came with funding, with money. They took the power from Fatah. And after that, Qatar funded them basically to build the tunnels and to do whatever they've done until what you see now as um, the Gaza Strip is
Yep.
full of tunnels. They have guns. They have strategies. They have money. Comes from Iran, Qatar. Same game, same players, and that's one of the main issue that we actually facing. We don't want to be part of that because this guy, the boy king of Qatar, he's not using his own money. He's using my money, our
Mhm.
money as Qatari people. And he's
So,
using our money and he's defamating our character in the West.
are you saying that if
I can't
al-Thani
hear
would
you.
not be in charge,
I can't
um,
hear. One
so you're
second.
not able to hear,
I can't
so
hear.
as you're able to get back, yeah, to get back your audio, while we wait, are you able to hear? And just wait for the audio here. Um, but folks,
I'll come back. I'll leave. I'll come back.
yeah, so he's we're gonna wait for him to come back here. Um, I would just have to say a lot of people would accuse me of, oh, Daniel, you hate Muslims and whatever. And I always said, like, look, of all people, a monotheistic religion, yeah, it's not my culture, not my customs, but I'm fine with the Amish. I'm fine with pretty much everyone, even though it would be foreign to me. To the extent you could have non-radical Islam, Qatar is ensuring we don't have it. I think we might have the Sheikh back. Do we have you back?
Yes, hello. Sorry.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So you explained very deeply what Qatar's interest is in ensuring that Muslims who live in other Muslim countries or in Gaza and in the West are radicalized. But why is the American government and now the Trump administration in particular, and this has surprised a lot of people, didn't see this coming. Why are they so focused on Qatar the last year? What is it that they have to offer, and how is a regime that is so stained in blood at the same time able to achieve almost NATO-like allied status with the United States government?
Basically, Qatari regime, they are very well known for renting loyalties. That's number one. Number two, the Qatari regime is very well known of manipulating people with money. They have no principles. So basically, I do believe that there is a very strong lobby that Qatar actually bought, promoting fake news, fake information to the American people that they should be aware of. Because I know a lot of American people want to know the truth. You cannot hear the truth from someone who been paid millions of dollars to say to you something that is actually not true. All what you need to do is basically dig deep into the history and the context of whatever you heard from that terrorist state. Now, people like Kushner, for example. Kushner, he is known for being a pro-Israel guy, yes, and that's what
Yes.
people knows about him. And uh, funny thing in Qatar, I'll tell you what Qatari people says, yes? Forget about the government now. My people says that, oh, we are not worried. We own Kushner. Oh, we are not worried because Kushner can convince Trump to sit next to the Emir of Qatar on the same airplane, saying, oh, he's one of the greatest leaders in the world. He's very good man. He's a great leader. He's a good ally to the United States of America. And that King Boy of Qatar sitting next to Trump, smiling and happy. This guy is a psychopath man who is pleased to be worshipped. Wake up, America. These people is coming after you. They are not your allies. You have to wake up. You have to fight them. You have to stop them. And every single person, like Tucker Carlson or other people who shamefully have some interest. I don't believe Tucker Carlson woke up one day, oh, and he thought about it. No, you know what? Qatar is right. I don't think so. I believe there is a financial interest in every single person that is promoting Qatar. Such a joke for someone actually gay who comes to Qatar and take how beautiful it is to walk around Qatar while being a gay. I mean, look what has what's happened. For example, this is just a bullshit statement because it's criminalized by the law of Qatar. When they change the law, then you can come openly, be happy, and say whatever you want to say. So Tucker Carlson, unfortunately, he lost his credibility. So people who support actually Tucker Carlson now, I'm not saying the majority of them. There is people who've been manipulated by him, but the majority is a PR campaign, is the voices that been paid by Qatar. And that's basically what you see. So for you to know the truth, you have to understand what is my values as an American person. So if Tucker Carlson represent America first, then why you becoming a puppet of the state of Qatar? A state that sponsoring terrorists without shame. I mean, how could you put your hand, you shake a hand with a man who actually had a relationship and hidden the guy who killed, slaughtered 3,000 American, and you come trying to educate people about America first? Shame on you. And that's what
So
I wanted to say.
so one of the things that I'm concerned about is, again, Americans don't know much about what happens outside of America, certainly that part of the world, but also, the typical American Christian is unaware of what goes on in Muslim communities in the United States. Could you paint a picture for us of how prominent outlets like Al Jazeera are in a typical Muslim American home, English Muslim home, French Muslim home? What is going on, and how much influence does Al Jazeera have when in fact Al Jazeera is banned in some Arab countries?
Al Jazeera is a fake news channel and a propaganda machine by the state of Qatar. I've done a lot of documentaries to expose them. In one of the documentaries that I've actually sent a source inside Al Jazeera offices, they were talking about me and how to create fake messages about me. And they were negotiating with a person how much they will pay him to create a fake news about me. Lucky me that the person that they tried to buy in that time, he was a good man and he was actually faithful to me. Who knows how many stories gone wrong that way? So definitely the way Al Jazeera work is manipulating people. The way they go to the Muslim American, they are saying to them, oh, we coming to you by the name of Islam, by the name of God, by the name of Allah. We're trying to help you, trying to help the Muslim community, and all that bullshit nonsense. Because if someone commit a crime in America, he will be faced by the local justice of United States of America, not by Qatari local justice or the propaganda machine. So a lot of people being radicalized. If you are waking up every day hearing Hamas is victims of
Yep.
Israel, is the people of Palestine are victims of Israel, you will grow up having that mentality. If your own doctor, professor in your own university will come and say, oh, let's go make a march for pro-Palestine, free Palestine. Who paid that person? It's a machine, a propaganda machine sponsored by Qatar. They go to the NGOs, to the professors, to the media machine, to people trying to convince you. They create the fake news, and then they put the fake news into an NGO to make it legitimate. And then they take it into their media channels, referencing their fake chain of channels, whatever they've done before that, and use influencers to promote that. The exact thing happening with the government of Qatar and the state of Qatar.
So this has been a big debate here. You're confident that, because many of us, we've worked with people for years, for decades, that were on the opposite side of this, that would agree with everything you're saying. And then in a matter of less than a year, they've flipped and sound indistinguishable from organizations like CARE. People that never spoke about Qatar before, all of a sudden talking about that. People that were on the other side of the whole Palestinian issue, they've flipped. I think because Qatar understood that they pretty much have the American and European left, and like that Australian prime minister as well. So they figured if they can capture the Christian right in America, they'll get consensus. So you're saying a lot of these people that suddenly flipped, you believe they're being paid off?
I'm not saying this based on false accusations or creating stories. The history is showing us how Qatar operates. Forget about me. The former Prime Minister of Qatar confessed in a video recording in the past few weeks. Go reference it. Hamad bin Jassim al-Thani. He said, we actually pay journalists. We buy our influence. So they confessed they are actually buying people. It's not only there. How many journalists, how many MPs, how many people from the FIFA scandal? It's all about buying people. It's all about buying their influence. So, yes, I do believe that they had financial interest. And the question is not how we prove it. They have to prove that they are innocent. They have to swear that they didn't get anything from the state of Qatar and judged by the law. If yes, if you got money, my advice to every single person got money from the state of Qatar, that they go register themselves in FARA as a foreign agent. You cannot manipulate people while people think you are an independent person, not paid by a foreign state. That's number one. Number two, we are coming after you because we are taking the power back. We are taking back control of Qatar. And we will gonna audit every single payment we've done or they've done on behalf of my own country. And we will sue you. And we will come after you because we want our money back. We didn't agree to pay you from our own wealth to say lies and to sponsor terrorism on our behalf. That's exactly what will happen.
On that point, because this is something that I think we all need some education on. To most Americans, it's hard to tell the difference between Qatar and UAE and the other Gulf states. Are you saying that if not for the al-Thani regime, that the majority of people in Doha would be kind of similar to what you see in Dubai, where they're not promoting the Muslim Brotherhood, where there's more interest in just promoting economic prosperity, not being concerned with funding terrorism? You're saying that what you are expressing here could be majority opinion in Qatar?
The al-Thanis is part of Qatari tribes. I cannot talk about the whole al-Thanis. Al-Thanis is part of Qatar. I'm talking about the regime of Qatar. Tamim, his father, his grandfather, every single person from that chain, they never died in power. Hamad bin Khalifa took power he thrown his father from power in 1995. He locked his own dad in the toilet. How disgusting it is. The previous king as well, his father, he actually made a coup against his cousin, and the cousin made on the cousin. And the current emir of Qatar, he actually, the same thing happened to his grandfather, happened to his own father. They locked his father as well in toilet until he gave the power as well. So this sort of information people don't know outside, but we knows it as Qataris. So what we're saying is, if the decision is shared by the original Qatari people who are allowed to participate in the decision, you will never see whatever you are seeing now. Now is a one-man show. Tamim is a psychopath. He wake up in the morning, he wants to be worshipped, he will pay hundreds of millions of dollars right and left for them to worship him. How great is he as a leader? You know, some people who don't even know politics, example, if they would see that footage of Trump saying, oh, he's one of the greatest leaders in the world, they like Trump, but they don't know what's going on. So they will just believe the story that this man is actually a good guy. They don't know this guy sponsored people who slaughtered 3,000 Americans and more. So you have to be careful in whatever you see on TV. So I urge the Americans to basically dig deep into the Qatari sponsoring terrorism. You will find a lot of information, not only from me, a lot of high classified information from the US intelligence being published. The accusations of financing terrorism is not from today. It's been years ago and it's been out there. Everyone knows about it. So before you put your hand and promote such a disgusting regime, you have to know exactly what you're talking about.
Um, One of the things that I'm finding unique the last year or two, although it's come up in Congress, in our Congress a couple times, there seems to be a greater interest of the Qatari regime to purchasing F-35s, purchasing a lot of military equipment. They demanded we guarantee them the security guarantee if they're attacked. Who are they worried about being attacked? And what is this military? And just before you respond, again, Rubio, so he met with the Qatari prime minister, and then they put out a statement honoring the Qatari National Day and praising the Qatari military. What is this military alliance and why is it so important?
First of all, let's talk about Qatari military, and this is a subject that most of Qataris they don't like, because basically we don't have a lot of Qataris in the army. We have foreigners,
Foreigners.
militants who've been promoted to come and actually protect the nation. You know why? I swear, and I bet with you, if Qatari people in the military tomorrow is a coup, they will never
Wow.
be in power. That's why they bring people from Sudan, from Yemen. They bring them even, and they give them Qatari nationalities to basically protect them, not from foreigners. They want to be protected from us, Qatari people. I'm not joking. This is what's happening. They need protection from us. That's why they do whatever they're doing. And buying F-35 is a joke, because they basically use that military equipment just to try to please the West. It's not about they need it. They don't need it because, you know, you've seen what happened. Iran hit Qatar with missiles, and Qatar made a big theater with a large military emergency. The Minister of Defense doing some conferences. They're talking how they stopped the Iranian missiles. It was all a joke because it was a theater. Because after that, 2 weeks from that time, when Iran basically raped our sovereignty in Qatar, they came to condemn Iran attack on Hamas in Qatar. They sat on the big round table saying, oh, the Iranian regime saying, oh, what Israel did is very bad and they cannot do this again. Oh, you just raped our 70 few weeks ago. And this guy, the boy king of Qatar, basically sitting and smiling at you, shaking your hand. Disgusting. The Qatari people don't like this. We don't want that. They are
Wow.
humiliating the nation. They are humiliating us. You don't listen to me. I'm telling you, if we have a military full of Qatari people like so peace people will have no power.
There would be a coup immediately. So you're saying that when the Trump administration forges all these alliances, guaranteed protection, weaponry, it's not to protect from an external enemy because see, here's the thing. You could debate Saudi Arabia, UAE, maybe they feel they need it because they're under attack from Iran. But the Qatari regime is allied with Iran. So who exactly would attack them? You're saying it's internally to cement and secure their power from their own people.
Exactly. If not, why you are not putting our own people in the army? And why you bringing foreigners to protect you? Because you are, you know deep inside that you are not wanted by the people of Qatar. You know that you are not liked by the people of Qatar. You know, wherever you see the propaganda machine, how people worship him is actually not true. He's spending millions of our wealth to put his pictures on Qatar towers and to put it on cars and forcing people to put in their own car to go on the street and show loyalty. Loyalty to who? To this childish regime of Qatar, boy king of Qatar that's not respecting the people of Qatar. What I'm saying to you that if they open the constitutional monarchy system and our rights are protected by law, Tamim and his father and all of this nonsense jokers, which is in power now, they will not be there for even 1 month. America should wake up. Trump should wake up. This guy is not your ally. We are the future of Qatar. It's not Tamim. We we are the future of Qatar. And we do believe that it's coming very soon because we are working. And I know when America signed the protection of the state of Qatar, they just wanted to please this kid. I'm telling you what happened. I know exactly what happened. He said to Trump through Kushner that he's not willing to do any negotiation with Hamas. At least two things happen. Number one, that Netanyahu apologized for them to release the hostage. Otherwise, they will never release the hostages. Huh? So then Netanyahu thought, okay, this guy is a kid. Let me just say sorry for him and get my people out
Yep. Out of Gaza.
of the custody. And he said sorry. And the guy was like, okay, no, you have to say sorry. He said sorry to you. Now where's our people? Okay, fine. Then they created stories. Have you seen with the Gaza ceasefire deal? And then the second thing they said, I want you to sign for me executive order that you will protect our country and our nation. Exactly, that's his words. I'm not creating stories now. I'm telling you deep inside information. And uh, Kushner basically convinced Trump, said, okay, just this guy giving me headache. Just sign for him this. Let's finish this Gaza issue. Okay, fine. Oh, we're gonna protect the state of Qatar. It's a joke. There are already protection in place. The largest base in the world is in Qatar. He said, okay, we will protect the state of Qatar. They didn't say the regime of Qatar, which means we will be the best allies to the United States of America. We will be the best people who actually protect the interests of the United States of America and Qatar. This regime you will not see in the very near future, not because we are acting aggressively against our constitution because we don't have a constitution. No, we are actually protecting our constitution by removing these terrorist people from the regime in Qatar.
So basically, they ingratiate themselves, they empower themselves through funding all the terrorist groups that intimidate the West. Then they could come in and say, "Hey, we'll help save you from them if you protect our power." Then they buy off individual politicians and their families with special favors. And what you're presenting here is it comes in a circle
You want
where,
me to give you a small
yep,
story supporting whatever you're saying? Yes.
sure.
A few months ago, there is few hostages being kidnapped by Taliban regime, which is British hostages. So basically, Qatar jumped after 1 hour, and they said to the British people, "Oh, we will help you. We will help negotiate and release them, and I'll give you." And what happened after that is basically Qatar They actually helping and financing Taliban. They are the ones who told them kidnap them, and they are the ones who need to give favors to the British establishment just to show them that, oh, we did good to you. The same regime that paid $1 billion to terrorists in Iraq for a ransom, um, and it was a big attack and joke from BBC and most of the main international mainstream. You have to read about it. Qatar paid a ransom sum of $1 billion. They sponsored who? That was an indirect finance for militant that's actually related to Iran. That's one. Number two, a few years ago, a journalist, an American journalist, I will not mention his name because most of the people knows his name, being kidnapped by Al-Nusra Front,
Yep. Yep.
which is
In Syria.
actually currently the president of Syria, where in that time, the whole world was saying, oh, Qatar was financing terrorists, which was Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, ISIS in that time. But Qatar was saying, no, no, it's not true. It's not true. We didn't do it. What happened after that? They are the first ones who promote him because of the nice relationship with America now. Tamim actually convinced Trump to sit in the same table with al-Jolani, one of the most wanted people in America. This guy used to slaughter Americans. And that journalist, the American journalist, you know what he said? He said, while I was held in custody, al-Jolani himself, which is Ahmed al-Shara, the current president, he said, he used to torture me personally. He used to beat me. And he's alive. He's not like a case. I'm responsible for what I'm saying. The guy is alive. And I will give you a reference for you later after the
So
interview.
you're saying that, because it's very puzzling from an American perspective that all of a sudden we're obsessed with Syria. They want to build a military base in Damascus. Two of our soldiers from Iowa were killed, and they're quick to say Jelani has nothing to do with it. They're forcing Israel to back off, protecting the Druze. It's very bizarre. You're saying that's again related to the Thani regime.
It's very obvious. Come on. Without the Qatar regime, he will never be in power. This guy will never be in power. You have to dig deep. Who put him in power? Qatar. Qatar promoted him. Al Jazeera. Qatar, the state of Qatar, the first regime who actually announced officially. I've done documentaries before when Al Nusra was a terrorist organization. I had a confession from a lot of terrorists that they've been paid by Qatar. But let me tell you again what happened with this person, the journalist. Yeah. He said to me, when I've been released that day, I saw some Qatari officials come with bags full of cash and they paid them and they actually took me, and it was a very friendly relationship, like they know each other, and they just informed the American, we're going to pay on your behalf that money. And then they took the guy, they did from him a PR campaign in Qatar, and they kick him out back to America, and they become like the heroes, the people who saved this journalist. That's the way they work. They do a lot of dirty work through their proxies and Iran proxies. So the fronts of Iran, like Hezbollah, Houthis, and all that terrorist fronts, is actually opposite to the Qatari supported fronts, like Hamas, like Muslim Brotherhood. All of that ideology comes from the same mother, which is the Muslim Brotherhood ideology.
This is unbelievable. Again, to the extent that we could ever secure peace, it is without this Qatari regime, because they're ensuring that the radicals are in power abroad and in Western countries, that the radicals radicalize the Muslims in those countries. And then, well, then we have to turn to them to referee and to put out the fire that they created. It's truly unbelievable. Just one
The
more question.
solution, the only solution, the Qatari regime has to be sanctioned. They have to audit every single penny from 1995 up to date. From the time they were promoting Osama bin Laden, the enemy of America, in Al Jazeera channel, 1999 to 2001, 2002. And every single terrorist who they've been promoting through the media, and how much they ever paid to actually Hamas and other terrorist organizations. We need this regime to be sanctioned to see a peaceful world until we take over, and we have no issues of being very transparent and exposing whatever they paid actually before to those terrorists. So the only solution now, and I think it's happening, that they will be sanctioning the regime of Qatar.
And again, that begins by cutting off their ability to fund terrorism and subvert within the United States. Why we allow in Al Jazeera is just unbelievable. And we allow the Qatar Foundation for Education to spread their poison through the universities. I mean, this is something that could be cut off immediately. I really fear, what you mentioned before, the antecedent to this problem, really the cause of it, is that there's just too many people in American government and influence that are able to get personally bought off, and they can't see the bigger picture, don't want to see it because they have too much to gain. But what you're presenting is from a national perspective. Again, if you don't want Islamic subversion in America, then the last thing you're going to want to do is promote this regime and help it from its own people. If anything, you want it to fall, you want it to be sanctioned, you want it to transition. So we would have a real ally, not a fake ally. I just find it surreal sitting across from you here, across the ocean, but seeing you, how we have Americans again that have nothing to fear. They have everything they want and they're getting bought off. And yet there's people like you that are willing to risk their lives and fight for this. And these people aren't even Muslim. That's what's so funny about it. It's truly amazing. Any closing words before we sew up today?
We are coming after you, whoever took money from the government of Qatar. I will find out. What you don't know, that we know people from the Ministry of Finance. We know people from every single institution in Qatar. We will find out sooner or later, and we will expose you, and we will take legal actions, and you will be exposed to the public. So better for you to confess from now and apologize, because they don't know what's coming after them. They don't know what's coming after them. And that's what I'm saying. Thank you
Well,
very
we're
much.
certainly going to be there for you on this side of the pond. Thanks so much, Khalid, for joining us today. And I'm really, really certain we're going to have you back in the new year. Take care.
Thank you very much, sir.